Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. In this workshop, we're going to turn our customer testimonials into high impact case studies using AI and an N8N automation. And I'm so excited that you're here with me, and let's just dive straight into it. So, first of all, just a little intro for you. I'm Brooke. I own Right Mode. I'm an AI strategist and creative technologist. I don't have a tech background, but I, like many of you, have fallen into this and just realized that I really love this tech. It works well for my brain. And for small business and creatives, this technology just has the ability to level the game. I've taught over 1,000 women in small businesses how to use AI and automations this year alone. And my mission is to empower founders to build lean and leverage businesses without the tech overwhelm. And I'm on a mission to teach 10,000 women how to use AI by 2026. So, why did I choose to do this presentation? So, one of the things that I struggle with in my own business is like using the social proof that we get, or, asking people for testimonials and then like, what are we doing with that data? Social proof is everything. 92% of buyers now trust peer recommendations over ads. That's huge. And so we need to stop leaving this data in a Google Sheet or even forgetting to ask clients for a testimonial. Testimonials reduce risk for our new customers. It helps people see the results with real client transformations, and they then go, oh, I want that, or I want to work with Brooke. And case studies allow us to kind of take our clients' words and really put it into a nice format so people can, see that measurable impact. And in the age of AI, there's heaps of AI generated content out there, this is what makes this stuff so valuable because it's social proof. And that's what people are craving now. And that proof builds trust and therefore sales. So it's not just what you say about your brand, it's what others say. That's like a huge piece now in the online space. And we're going to use N8N to help us package it and leverage it. So I'm just going to show you through the workflow now. So basically what happens is there's a Google Sheets trigger. I just use a Google form for this one, but you could have it as an Airtable form, whatever kind of system that you work with, you can change this out here. I've just got it set to pick the last row submitted. And then it just goes into an OpenAI module, or a node in N8N, they call them. And this has a really comprehensive system prompt. So when we go through this, I'll show you this. And in the template, you'll get access to this. You'll just need to change it to be aligned with your brand voice and your business. Then we pass it through this code node. And all that does is just normalizes the data from the OpenAI node and make sure it's in a nice format to then sit in our Notion page. And this is really cool because it's allowed me to stop leaving testimonials on the table and start actually using them. So let me show you in N8N now. Okay, so this is what it looks like in N8N. If you haven't used N8N before, don't be scared. It's a lot easier than it looks. So with my testimonials that I send out to clients, I just have it in a Google form. If you use something like Airtable, then your trigger would be the Airtable node. But for me, this just sits in a Google Sheet, and this is our trigger. So what we want to do, and you will get this whole template, and you just need to adjust it for your use case. So here, you just need to connect your Google Sheets account. I've got this polled for every hour, and then you just want to select the Google Sheet that it's looking for. So you just paste in the Google Doc URL here and then the sheet. So that is, I've only got one sheet for this, but if you had multiple, sheets in your Google spreadsheet, you would just pick the appropriate one. And then the trigger is on row added. So every time a row is added, as in someone submits a form, I want this to trigger. And then the next thing I've set is a limit here, because if I don't, it would pull in every single submission, and we just want it to do the last item that has been submitted, as in the most recent form submission. So you can see here it's pulled out Sam's responses here. Now, when you're working with this, every time you update a node, you can just hit execute step and it'll pull in the data from the last node, and then you can just hit pin. And what this does is it stops you from having to run this every time you test it. You can just use this data for testing. Now, the key with this automation is this node here. So I've created a really extensive system prompt, and you'll just need to drop this into ChatGPT or Claude, whatever you use, and adjust it to your brand voice and your business use case. So you can see here, it's really specific to me and my business. It's got all of my branding voice rules. So what you'll do is grab this. If you have a brand voice document, drop that in as well and say, can you adjust this system prompt to be aligned with my business and my brand voice? Otherwise, you're going to sound like me. So this took me a few hours to perfect. This was probably the hardest part of the automation, just getting the AI node to sound exactly how I want it to sound. So that's the system prompt here. So you don't need to adjust any of this. You just need to log in with your OpenAI account. This is different to your ChatGPT account. You need to go to OpenAI Playground and purchase some API tokens. If you don't know how to do that, just drop that into YouTube, and there's like 1,000 tutorials on how to do that. The next thing that we do is create the user prompt. So this is like if we were entering a prompt into ChatGPT, this is like the user prompt. The system prompt is more like kind of setting up a custom GPT system prompt, but within N8N. So if you want to view the data bigger, you just hit this and voila, looks so much easier. So the cool thing about N8N is we can just drag and drop this data to where we need it to be here. So if I just go that's right here. So I don't need Sam's name twice. So you can see that that's mapped over here. So I'll get rid of that. But if you have different questions to me, which you all will, what you will do again is just copy this, paste it into that chat thread where you asked for the system prompt to be updated. Grab your form questions and say, can you adjust this prompt to reflect my testimonial form questions? And then you'll paste that back into here. And if the JSON data hasn't mapped properly, you'll just pull it across like that. And make sure that it's pulling across. The green means that it's good to go. Red means that it hasn't mapped properly. You can either just try and pull it across again, or jump into ChatGPT and Claude and it will help you do this. The key here is this bit too. So I have asked OpenAI to return a valid JSON object. So JSON is just a way that essentially computers and applications talk to each other. So I've got it to create a headline, a pull quote, and then it's got all of these here too. So again, depending on what you ask in your testimonial form, you may want to update these. And just as I said before, you can just get ChatGPT to help you map out these so that they're more aligned with your business and your testimonial form. And also here, I've got it to give me a key takeaway and also create an Instagram post and a carousel slide, just kind of highlighting the before and after and the transformation. Because remember, if we're getting this social proof, we want to actually leverage this, get it out on socials, publish this as a case study on our website. And I've just got the specific rules here again. So adjust this according to your business and your brand voice. So if we execute this step, what it will do is it will take this data, run it through the node, and then this is the output. I've pinned this from before so we can see this is how this looks now. The next node is a code node. And basically all this does is just makes sure that what OpenAI has given us, Notion can read. So you can see here it's got headline, but this is all nested as one, and that makes it really hard for Notion to read what we need it to read and for us to be able to map the data. So what this code node does is just gets these. You can see there it's got like headline and then it's got the response, pull quote and the response. This means these all can be mapped now. And so regardless of what OpenAI gives us, this kind of normalizes that data and gives us a really nice structure that Notion can work with. And again, if you change any of these fields for your system prompt in OpenAI, then you just grab this, drop it into that chat thread and say, okay, can you update the code node now to reflect, the testimonial form or the system prompt? And ChatGPT or Claude will do that for you. I've also got some error handling in here too, and that's amazing because if you do get an error, the really cool thing with N8N is you can copy here and then just paste that into chat and say, here's the error, and it will help you figure out what needs to be changed. Then here's the Notion dashboard. So you need to log in with your Notion account. If you use something like Airtable, you would just log in here. And then what we're doing, first of all, is creating a new database page. So there's a bunch of operations here. There's like get or update. But what I want to do is essentially create a new line in our database. So we hit create. And then from here, because I'm logged into my Notion, it will pull all of the Notion pages that are linked to my N8N. In a second, I'll show you how to link these two together. And then all I want to do is pull the title across. So for this one, I just want it to create the database line with this headline. And then in the next node is where we map all of that data so it actually sits in the page. So let me show you first how we connect Notion and N8N. Okay, so here we are in my Notion dashboard where I want these testimonials to sit. So if you haven't connected N8N before, you just need to go down to connections and then manage connections here. And then you just go to develop or manage integrations here. And I've created this N8N test. You would just create a new integration, which I'll show you now. Okay, so this, you just want to make sure that it can update and insert content. Here's your integration secret, which you'll need to paste into N8N. Also, in the access, here, you just want to select which pages it has access to. So as just thinking about data privacy, you probably don't want to give it access to all of your whole Notion dashboards, but you would just choose the page that you want it to have access to. So if we just drop in here testimonials and then update access. So you can see here that it already has access, but for you, you would select that and then hit save. And then jumping back into N8N, you would go over here, create new credential, and then that's the key that you've grabbed, the integration secret from Notion. You just pop that into here and hit save. Okay, so back to N8N. So you can see here now we've mapped the headline. Then you can hit execute step to make sure that everything's working, and then pin that data. So you can see here it's now got a new database ID, and it's got the campaign name. The next thing we want to do is add content to that new page. So you would come and select your Notion credential, which will now be sitting there because you've set that up. Then we want to add a new block within that page that we've just created. And so here, we're just basically saying here that we want it to be added to this new page that we've created from the previous step. So again, here, you won't need to do anything. This has all been mapped for you. You can see here, see how this is red? So that it is telling us here that I just need to unpin that data from the previous step and execute. And so if we jump in, and I will do that in a second so you can see, but basically then all we do is map all of the responses to each little block here. So let me run that now. So if we run this, okay, cool. And so it has created this new page, and I'm just going to pin that data so we don't lose it. Then we go into the add content page, and you can see here now it's turned green and it's good to go. So if we go over here, we get to see all of the nodes from before. So we want to go back to our code node, and it gives us all of this data ready to map. So here I've got, what Sam does. She's a mortgage home loan advisor. And then here I've got her name and then from, and I've mapped her business name here too. Then I've got, and so here is where you would, if you've changed your questions, you would write here, and we want to flick it over to expression. And then we would just drag in the main challenge. So how we do that is you just pop that after what you've written, which is your question. And then we would just drag and drop that here. Let me just get that nice and big. And main challenge, just drop that here. And you can see here, it shows us that content and how it's mapped. So good. So I don't need a duplicate of that. So I'm just going to get rid of that. But so you can see here, that's exactly what you would do. And so for you, you would just adjust these to your own questions, and then you just pull from our code node the respective answer here. So what we worked on, pull it across. If you have more questions than me, then what you need to do is just scroll down once you've mapped all of yours and just add a block. And we just want to do a paragraph, and this would be what's the ROI? That's like a new question, and then you would just pull in your corresponding answer here. So I'll get rid of that now. And so you can see here too, I've got an Instagram carousel, an Instagram story, and an Instagram post all ready to go. And so if we scroll down here, it goes through all of my questions and answers, and then see Instagram post, story, and slides. And again, you just like pull this over to where you need it to be. Amazing. I'll get rid of that duplicate, and then we'll execute this step. Great. And you can see here the node has executed successfully. Hooray. We'll pin that. And then I'm going to jump over to my Notion dashboard and show you what that looks like. All right. So here it is. So see here, client win, Samantha from Your Money Home Loans. It's got here the data that we've mapped, and then it's got all of this sitting here, and I can just now easily copy and paste that into a new page on my Squarespace website as a case study. The really cool thing here too is that it's pulled out a key quote, and then it's given me that 2 to 3 line key takeaway. And I've also got an Instagram post ready, an Instagram story, and I can then link to that new case study page, and an Instagram carousel highlighting, you know, what we worked on, and the transformation, and then a call to action for people to work with me. So cool. So that's how simple this automation is, but it's super effective because now you've got this ready to use case study that can go straight up on your website, an Instagram post, some text for an Instagram story, and an Instagram carousel. So I would love to connect with you. You can find me at rightmode.com. Always Instagram. That's at right_mode. Thanks so much for checking out this workshop, and I hope you found it really useful.